thần kia kìa. PhD candidates in Canadian universities made presentations. We have KNUST faculty participate. We are starting in just a bit. We'll start very soon. I'll just get a confirmation of our audience, our presenters, and then we'll hit the ground running. Let's see. Those of you on Zoom, if you can hear us, give us a thumbs up or something, and then we will know you can hear us clearly. If you can hear us on Zoom, great. No hiccups. Thank you very much for the acknowledgement. Great. Do you have any presenters amongst you? If you are one of our presenters for today, just type it in the chat, and please get yourself ready. We can so that we identify you and then enable the. Let me turn this one on here. Okay, great. So you transition the conversation. I'm gonna look at the program. How many of us were here yesterday? Did you participate in yesterday's session? Yeah, those of you on Zoom, how many of you participated yesterday? If you did, you can also give us you raise your hand and then we'll confirm if you were a part of yesterday's event. Oh, okay, Richard Amponsa took part. I see Dr. Selassie Brown from UPSA here. Thanks for joining us today as well. Prof. Frimpong Chum, we are grateful for your participation. We acknowledge your attendance yesterday and you are here today as well. Greetings to the KNUST fraternity. Yes, we'll kickstart in just a bit. He was here. And of course, we have this audience here, those on Zoom also following us. You can share it far and wide. You can cut the music for now. Yes, so welcome everybody. We're hitting the ground running. It's the maiden edition of the Department of Computer Science, University of Ghana Postgraduate Students Workshop, the maiden edition, and we believe that this is going to be consistent here on. And so without further ado, we kickstart with an opening prayer. I think we're about almost 10 minutes behind our start time, but the good thing is that we are catching up on things. So we will call Kevin Edufo to come and give us an opening prayer.
Shall we close our eyes? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the lives of everyone here. Come and make this program a successful one. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen.
Amen. Wow, that was quick. Yes, right. So with that out of the way, a few pleasantries and speeches that will, spice up this event. We received a couple of encouraging words from some portions of management at the university and from other institutions that are gladly joining our maiden event. To get us started, we'll have an opening remark by the postgraduate committee chairman, Professor Ferdinand Kachiku.
Once again, welcome to this research workshop. We are very happy that this is taking place. We hope that you would have a lot to learn from it in your academic careers. In fact, in some of the best universities around the world, this is something that they do on a regular basis. And we want to emulate that so that you get the best experience as possible. I would really like to appreciate the Dean and Vice Dean of Graduate School for making time to be here, to also encourage you. You all have something to learn, whether you are postgraduate, PhD, undergraduate, there's a lot to learn. It's a learning process. It never stops. So I hope that there'll be something in it for you, no matter what level you are. And I wish the participants, the presenters, all the very best. And we look forward to a very successful meeting today as we had yesterday as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give Prof a round of applause. Oh, the applause is very feeble. I'm also taking virtual applause. So those of you on Zoom, if you can engage as well, we would appreciate it. Right, we won't take too much time. Now, as I made mention of this, our maiden event at the Department of Computer Science Postgraduate Student Workshop. And this event couldn't have just been possible without having the management at the graduate school partaking. They have graced this occasion and they will give us a few remarks. We will start off with the Dean, Professor Robert Osei Daku. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much and good morning. Immediately I saw this, I knew I was at the computer science department. Initially, I thought that we were going to be served breakfast once I saw the fog, but anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to see by hands how many of us are postgraduates. I know I went around and asked a few. don't be dismayed if you are not. Of course, I just came to make a few remarks in respect of postgraduate studies at the University of Ghana. But, you know, the remarks that I wanted to share is not just for current postgraduate students, but also for prospective postgraduate students. How many of you are prospective postgraduate students? Hey, you don't want to do postgraduate studies. You people are just thinking about finishing your first degree and then go and look for money. Trust me, there is value in taking postgraduate studies. And if you want to take postgraduate studies in Africa, I can confidently say that there are not many places better than the University of Ghana. Okay? And so certainly this should be one of the universities of choice for you. Okay? Do you know how many postgraduate students are in the University of Ghana? We all know and we appreciate it. And in fact, we are working towards dealing with some of the challenges. But I want to believe that there are some attractions as well. So, anybody? Hey, Chai. Thank you very much. Please mention your name to me. What's your name? Kofi Nyako. Tell me what. I think you, for the purpose of those from...
Yeah, Zoom, yeah. For me, it's environment and exposure.
The environment and exposure.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I came here, there was an event held in the stats department, and some people were available, and I got to listen to what they do, their work, and it has inspired me to, you know, delve into certain areas. And I don't think if I didn't come here, I would have had that opportunity. So.
Excellent. Okay, so now we have gender balance. Yes.
So my name is Selom. So for me, what is attractive is like lecturers who are able to teach very well for us to understand. I think it's kind of a little bit of something we lack looking at, some of them are not able to teach us to understand. So, what is attractive are like lecturers who are able to teach us first to understand.
To understand very well. Excellent. Thank you very much. So, again, this is not my lecture, and I'm not going to give any research talk, but it was just to get some reflections of some of the attractions of the University of Ghana. As she mentioned, we do have excellent scholars who are of international repute, not just scholars who are local champions. EPL level scholars, okay, and it speaks volumes in terms of what it is that the university is doing and has been trying to do over the years. For those of you who will be fortunate to, and I trust that most of you will be fortunate enough to come and then do postgraduate studies, there's an array of things, areas that you can select from. I believe currently we have over 300, in fact it's north of 350 programs that are postgraduate programs, not undergraduate, postgraduate programs that are running at the University of Ghana. We have about 10,000 graduate students, 10,000 plus graduate students. 10,000 students is almost a university. Okay, so I'm just trying to encourage you and to let you understand that you have a community that you can join in terms of graduate studies here at the University of Ghana. Now, if you want to come and do graduate studies, be prepared that you would have to work. I've gone through very quickly some of the presentations that you are enjoying. They are talking about AI, machine learning. These are things which are being done around the world. So cutting edge research. And trust me, anybody who is interested in the development, not just of Ghana, but of Africa, should also be interested in research, because that is what will guide us. All of us have phones, right? Each and every one of us have phones. How many of us can use half of the functions that our phones have? And yet still, there is increasing research to even build on what already exists. So, the area is very wide. The boundaries of knowledge is being pushed each and every day. And I can see some exceptionally smart people here. Of course, you don't come to Legon to do subjects related to computer science if you are not part of the creme de la creme. Is that not so? It's very competitive. But I want to encourage you that now you need to work and work very hard. And prepare yourself even for things beyond first degree. Don't look at the first degree as your ceiling. No. First degree, it comes just like that. Over 30 years ago, I was probably also sitting in a room like this, right? And all I was thinking at that time was, when I get to finish my first degree. But today I look back and I tell myself, of course, if I had stopped there, I don't think it would have helped me as much as it has. Okay, so please look beyond the first degree. Work hard. And maybe one last thing before I sit down, and I don't know whether Prof will also want to share some words, but the quality of students that we produce, and here I'm not just talking about postgraduates, it runs across both undergraduate and postgraduates. The quality of students that we produce is not only dependent on the excellent scholars that you have here who are teaching you. Much of it depends on you yourselves. Okay? So set yourselves very high standards. Never look down on yourself. The fact that you have entered Legon, University of Ghana, the premier university, means that already you have scaled some bar which many people just can dream about. Work very hard. There are so many tools that are available to you, even if we think that we fall short compared to some other universities. Typical example: reference management software. It is available today at the University of Ghana for free. Yet still, and it's not just undergraduates, even postgraduates. You see postgraduates work and they are not making use of some of these tools. And why is that? They are available. Okay? But now, given the number of students that are in Legon today, then you add on the number of students that are in tech, you add on the number of students that are at UCC and all the others, right? Clearly, even if you constitute under 5% of the population of Ghana, you still have competition. You still have competition. And you can only come to the top of that competition not by the grades that you got at, WASI, but by the efforts that you put in today and tomorrow. And that effort no faculty member can help you. You have to decide. Okay? So, the challenge with us teachers is that if you give us an opportunity to talk, if you are not careful, we can go on and on forever. But I think I would like to stop here, and maybe if my colleagues will permit me, I will ask for 5 minutes so that I can answer any question that you may have concerning graduate studies at the University of Ghana. Is that okay? Most of you don't even know where the graduate school is. How many of you know where the School of Graduate Studies is? Ah, hey,
Yes.
What did you come and do there? You've been passing there and you noticed it. Why, you're at Commonwealth? No. So you passed there to, where were you going to? Great Hall. Hey, okay. Okay, anyway, that's good. 1 out of that many. So you see the proportion is very low. It's insignificant. Okay. So any question for us from School of Graduate Studies?
And this includes those of you online. If you have any question for our graduate school, you raise your hand and you unmute yourself. So, any question? Today we have the whole Dean of Graduate School here with us.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Yes. Any question from anybody?
We have to go and look for our next set of graduate students
we have somebody.
elsewhere.
Please go ahead.
No, so, okay.
Oh, you can go ahead. Yeah.
My name is Austin. I'm completed my MPhil. I think, was it last year? Okay, I graduated.
You have forgotten.
I graduated this year, and I want to pursue my PhD. I think probably August or something. Prof. Solomon is taking care of that, and I wanted to know, how is the environment for PhD students like? Just the atmosphere. Is it kind of, I want to know if probably it will be kind of more, I don't know how to put, I want the correct word for that. Open, where you would have to explore your own options. I don't know if I'm painting the correct picture. Explore your own options, or the flexibility does not permit you, you'd have to be boxed in, attending to your professor all the time, or only give you the room to, go outside, explore what other PhD students are doing all over the world. Then you come, you put in your contribution and all this stuff. How is the environment generally?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a very good question, and it's in a way borders on the structure of our PhD program. Very broadly speaking, a typical PhD program at the University of Ghana is over a 4-year period. Indeed, it's over a 4-year period if you have a master's. With a first degree, you can also enter with the PhD in mind. The structure is slightly different, and I'll explain that in a minute. But assuming you were coming in with a master's program, you come in, the first year is coursework. You take level 700 courses, following which you would then be assessed in an exam we call the comprehensive exams. And essentially what the comprehensive exams does is to assess you on the general knowledge in the subject area for which eventually you will be given a PhD. If you do pass the comprehensive exam, so you normally will take the comprehensive exams in year 2. If you do pass the comprehensive exams, then you get a period we call, you do experiential learning, which is for up to about 6 months. The spirit of the experiential learning is to enable you to, 1, either go into industry and engage so that it broadens your scope in terms of the kinds of things or solutions that your research will proffer. But also it provides a basis for undertaking mobility. So for instance, if you had resources, we don't have resources, right? But if, for instance, the program has resources, then you could say, write to a professor in Germany who is doing nanotechnology or something, that, oh, I want to come and spend 3 months at your institution and then work with you just to learn some of the things that, but again, that is the essence of the experiential learning phase of a PhD. So you undertake this experiential learning, and it's only when you return that it's of interest to you. But I believe that if we also looked at this area which is related, we can do some very interesting work. Again, that is entirely up to you. So your professors or your supervisors are here to guide you. They are not here to do your research for you. Okay? But of course, they will guide you in terms of what materials to look, how to think about some of the issues in terms of your research. Of course, even framing your research questions, looking for the research gaps that potentially you can actually engage in. Okay? So I think that for me, the PhD structure at University of Ghana, I note that the university strategic plan seeks to emphasize more graduate training. It doesn't mean we don't think or we don't care about undergraduates, but it is just to say that we think that the balance between graduate training and undergraduate needs to be realigned. Let's put it that way. Okay, currently we are doing just about 13 to 14% of the total university population constituting the graduate students. Okay, but the PhD for me it opens up your world, okay, to doing research. And like I said earlier, for some of us, we believe that it is human capital, it's knowledge that will change the world tomorrow. The person who thought there is a solution to the Ebola problem in Ghana is probably one of the richest men in Ghana today. Right? Can you imagine that? And there are so many problems. I mean, just turn around. So many problems. So the issue is not about going to work for somebody and then finding money. No. You want to be rich, start thinking about solutions to the problems that you find around. And how can you do that? Graduate studies, and particularly with PhD. Okay, the training that PhD does for you is not to tell you how to do a particular, to be an expert in a particular area, but it prepares you to do research in a lot of things. So today we talk about transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary research. Okay, that is what graduate studies does for you. I hope I've addressed. Somebody is online. Okay.
Yes, we have someone here.
Azamati. Azamati is our 100 meters record holder, no?
Yes. So Azamati, can you unmute yourself and then put yourself on the big screen? Oh, okay. You want a follow-up question? All right.
So just so you hear the Vice Dean's voice. So the next question, we can ask her to address the question. Is that okay?
Yes.
I think it's fair, Anna. Or you don't want to hear her voice? She was going to speak anyway. Oh, was she? Then in that case, when she answers the question, then she's spoken. Okay, yes.
Okay. I want to know, previously I was working in tech for Amazon. Then I just want to see how the academia environment was like, because I really enjoy it. I really want to be in academia. My question is, do I have to be licensed as a teacher to be in a classroom to teach in academia? Because I really want to end up in the classroom teaching. That's what I enjoy. I don't care about Amazon or wherever.
Okay.
But I don't know if...
No, so Prof will tell you because her area is also similar to, she's in between. She can decide to go into industry or stay where she is, which is in the classroom. So she would address the question.
Okay, good morning. And maybe just to add to your previous question, for the resources available for graduate students, we also from time to time organize what we call the boot camps. And these are just time away from your busy schedule. We'll keep you at the graduate school. We have resource persons who just help you to navigate your PhD journey, and more importantly, help you to focus, to do a lot more writing. So if you see some of these adverts, please take advantage of them, because we have very experienced resource persons who come to take you through different aspects of your, and we do it for the MPhil, MSc students, and then the PhD students. So whichever level you find yourself in, if you see some of these adverts, please take advantage of them. And then we also have the PADA. Have you heard of PADA? The Postgraduate Doctoral Academy. We are actually neighbors. Their building is on the left of the graduate school. And following up on Dean's question, I think from today, we should just take excursions around that part of campus and see where at least the graduate school is located. And when you get there, please take a picture. Hashtag, now I know graduate school. Okay, so PADA also does some of these seminars and programs to help you to appreciate the PhD work and then the journey. And of course, there are opportunities for you as students. The Erasmus program, for example, if your school is part of it and then you have some linkages, you could travel in between your PhD program and then take advantage of these resources. And don't wait also for Eugene to advertise. Knowledge abounds. And so sometimes you can just go to other schools, go to, depending on your program, there are very renowned schools also that run similar programs. You could just register for programs which are usually open for PhD students and then take one or two courses that are in line with what you have to do. And most of the time too is either you pay something small and you can get a credit and certification for that. So please don't limit yourself and then just keep going and going. Now in terms of the certification, ideally yes, but on the ground, no. You don't need to be a trained teacher. For the entry level to be an academic for University of Ghana, and in fact for the country now and in most countries, is the PhD. However, for some units where it's need for people and the PhDs are not available, they could make a case and then employ people with MPhils. But those appointments are capped. So they are usually 3 years non-renewable. And so what I usually tell people is that why take an employment where you know after 3 years you are going to lose it, and rather use the time to prepare for a more long-term option. So minimum PhD, you do well, and then you go through the processes. You do a demonstration, you then are taken through some interview processes. But then when you come in, the university has some orientation programs to teach you how to teach. There are some trainings on pedagogy and other teaching materials and systems that you would be taking through as a new faculty. But again, it comes back to the point that for yourself as a teacher, groom yourself, prepare, observe how teaching is, look at your lecturers, learn how they talk, do the things they do, and then prepare yourself, and you come into academia. And as Dean said, I moved from the hospital into academia. I'm not a teacher, but I'm here teaching, and I can assure you I'm not going back. I enjoy the classroom just as he also is good. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take your question from Mr. Zamati online. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much, Bramak. My first question is on the software availability for students to conduct experiments. When I was a master student some years ago, I requested the first one.
Yes.
All right. I was talking about software that is MATLAB. I was saying that when I was a student some years ago, I requested MATLAB to conduct some experiments. I was told it was not available. Now a PhD student, I want to know whether we have it or the university plan to get one. As computer scientists, our work revolves around software, and we need these things as tools to conduct experiments to compete favorably with the international community. The second one is the student and teacher ratio is becoming problematic. And sometimes I see my professors overwhelmed with their work. And with this, if we really want to do quality work as far as postgraduate studies are concerned, then there should be a cap. The number of credit hours the professors are expected to teach, and the number of credit hours they are supposed to use to supervise their graduate students, so that they will dedicate much more time on the supervision as well as the teaching, so that they do not crash themselves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the MATLAB, I will leave it with the able computer scientists to address that. But from where I sit, ideally, we should have labs, basic resources to do our work. But we know also that within the constraints we have, you may not get everything you need. But if you are able to communicate it clearly with your unit, I'm sure they'll put in their measures and the interventions to try and get the things that you require. Again, some of the other things from the graduate perspective, in terms of reference management, for example, that is free at the library. That I'm saying confidently because it's available. But for the MATLAB, I'll let your professor speak to that. Now, in terms of the student-staff ratio, that is a challenge we acknowledge, and we can assure you that at graduate school we've been thinking about this extensively. And in terms of, for example, supervision, we are thinking through how to help streamline that. And I'm happy to let you know that it's your own professor and some team members here who are helping us develop the system and the app to help us, objectively know how many people are supervising how many students. And so that if you are even being assigned to a student beyond the cap, it wouldn't work. And so these are some of the interventions we are putting in from the graduate school perspective. Dean, I'm not sure if you want to add any.
I wouldn't mind adding. I mean, I think it's also an issue that we brought to the attention of senior management of the university, because part of the challenge is not just what we do at graduate school. Part of the challenge is also the number of undergraduates that are coming through. And given that, one, we are a public university, two, everybody wants to come to Legon, sometimes there is pressure on Legon to take more undergraduates than our capacity will suggest we should. But in the last 2 years, Legon has really pushed back, so much so that last year, actually, the numbers were significantly reduced. And it's all with essentially some of these key metrics as the guiding principle. We do know, and like Vice Dean rightly said, we do bring this point up in most of the fora that we engage in terms of the quality of outputs that we expect from a university like Legon, that we need to work really hard on the student-staff ratio, because the levels are significantly higher than what is optimal. Okay, so, but in spite of that, I think in spite of that, the faculty members are really working. I mean, they are overworked and underpaid. One of the things that we've been engaging with GRASAC, and that relates to the earlier point about it's MATLAB, right? Is to encourage GRASAC to also be proactive in helping to procure some of the software that is really common across academic units. Because, of course, graduate students also pay dues. Unfortunately, even the fees that we pay as students of University of Ghana is capped by, okay? But again, SRC, GRASAC, it's something you can do. You can, for instance, I know that the library has some of the software. Some of the academic units also have some. Okay, I don't know when Adams finished. I probably had MATLAB at that time, if he had contacted me. Okay, but I'm saying it's possible you'd have some in some of the units, not cracked versions, please. Please, no cracked versions. We don't do cracked versions at Legon. But some of the academic units have some. So the question is, how do we coordinate so that we use it in a more efficient manner so many more people can have access to? Okay. But again, you guys are stakeholders. Students are stakeholders. So engage in the conversation. Engaging in the conversation does not mean that you have to take red shirts and then take placards and then go on demonstration that you are not buying. No. Engaging in the conversation is asking the right questions. How can we get the right software to use together? Okay? So, and I think that it's one of the things that unfortunately our student bodies are not doing a lot of. Okay? Engaging in a conversation that finds appropriate solutions to the challenges that we all face. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, so originally I was going to call the Vice Dean, and she's already made her presentation, so that case is put to bed. We can't thank you enough for the time you took out of your busy schedule to find yourself here. Please, I think they deserve another round of applause. Yes. If we don't see them, then that has been their visit with us. Please.
They can always visit us
at the office.
At School of Graduate Studies. And you take pictures like what they said.
Great. Right. So the program continues. Today we have some of our faculty here as well, and we'll give them the platform to also give a couple of remarks. To begin with, we will call on So we are live on YouTube. Those of you on Zoom, we've shared the link in the chat. Kindly share it far and wide. Let the whole world get to know that we are having our maiden edition for the postgraduate student workshop. Very soon we'll wrap up with the speeches and then hit the ground running with the presentations for today. Yes, so if you have had the opportunity to see the link anywhere, make sure you share it, and let everybody feel part of it. Please let the song resume. I think they are finished taking the pictures, and very soon, Dr. Matilda Wilson, Prof. Yafe, they will join us, and then we'll continue from there. Again, we have a bigger number now than we started. So I will still go ahead and ask, how has the experience been for you? Has it been an eye-opener? The undergraduates, are you motivated to pursue graduate studies at the University of Ghana in particular, or even anywhere? I'll be curious to know some of your experiences. Anybody who wouldn't mind? I mean, if you're online too and you want to pass on a few words of encouragement, we have quite a number of learned faculty who have joined us online. Our keynote speaker for today is actually going to come from, it's actually in Australia. Okay. A wide reach of audience. Anybody who has I've seen some of my students here. If they don't take our hand over the microphone to them, yes. Or the journey has just begun. You are in level 200, so you just don't know yet. Maybe you taste some big money and you may change your mind. But how does it feel to be part of innovation, contributing to the body of science and not just being a spectator? How does it feel like? I mean, do you aspire for that? Great. So resume with our speeches very soon. Yes. Thank you very much for holding on, those of you on Zoom. Yes, we have about 50. For those who are here talking.
I want to make a picture.
The fuck? What does it do?
See, I'm seeing now, like, what is this?
It's a mark.
They make a picture, and then this thing is going to show. Meanwhile, the thing has a clip.
Here for a common focus to think of research, how best we can move on in research. And research is the order of the day. I think I will continue from where the dean and the vice dean of graduate school left it. That research is nothing but solving problems. And computer science is what? Logical thinking, analytical skills development to solve problems, innovations, which goes along with what? Research. So I'm here to encourage you. As students, I know most of you are even undergrad here, but the few graduate students here, you know what you want. That's why you have joined. But our undergrad students, we are encouraging you. Don't always think of going abroad to study. Don't always think of going to do your PhD outside. We have everything here. What do you need? The best and the special skills, the faculty. Until recently, I'm telling you, this workshop is the first in the life of computer science. So clap for the current era. It's the first.
We're waiting for the virtual clubs.
It has never happened. But this computers department has been in existence since 1970s. I came to meet it. And I would say I'm the oldest faculty in this department, in this whole department.
Please, I think he deserves another.
I am the oldest.
We are waiting for the virtual clubs as well.
Currently, I'm the oldest. I came to meet people who have all left me.
Longest serving.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm also the oldest actually. Oh no, Freddie.
To me.
So thank you. That's by the way. And if I'm saying it's the first of its kind, that means the department has moved from stages and levels to this point. Until our father, I would say father, because he brought dynamism, proper dynamism into this department. He came to trigger us. Well, Professor Fedi came here before we could think of what? A graduate program. Finish. We had run undergraduate program, all Professor Yakum, different fields, variety and various fields. That whatever kind of research you are thinking of, whatever kind of problem solving you need, is here. It's here. It may be cheaper. It's not easy now to travel. In going to you, you know what is happening already. The student getting the visa after getting admission and getting funding. Getting visa too is another wahala. You get there so many issues. We need to build our own. The previous era have passed. That people didn't have the opportunity to do it here. Now it is here. We need to make use of it. How do we make use of it? We have to help ourselves. We need to focus in the various areas and think through the various problems that we are encountering, the challenges in the concept that we are studying. That's where we come in. Using research, because that is all. If only you can think through a certain problem or a certain challenge and criticize it, then you have a research problem, and that is all you need. And you get this through your undergraduate program. Whilst you are working hard and focusing and reading along and engaging your faculty, you will be able to arrive at that conclusion of getting a certain problem that you think you have to solve, especially our ladies. Let's get involved. It's time for ladies to be part of this STEM field, in general, STEM field. The technology field is part of the STEM field. And we are running away from it. We find ourselves in different, diverse other areas, which is not helping, because computer science, I say, is the mother of all fields. Now, computer science cuts across solutions in all different kinds of fields. Because without IT, now we have medicine, transportation, logistics, and still working in the computing arena. Please, this is, now we are lucky, and we don't have any excuse to run away. Ladies, get involved. This is logical thinking to develop you further. It will open you up to every field you want to move to, finally. So please, I think for me, I'm here to encourage you and to speak to you as a mother. And hopefully, I hope you get engaged and get focused in the field. Thank you.
A round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause.
If you have any question for the department.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
I think from now, we will think of giving you resources. We provide the softwares you need. We work hard as faculty and as department. You should come for that. Okay.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Matilda Wilson.
Thank you.
If you have any question, please let us know, and we'll give her the opportunity. Yes. You want to ask her a question? Oh, there's a hand up. Oh, okay. Oh, she's clapping. She's clapping. Yes, that's the gesture for clapping. Yes, that's Gifty Gemfi. Right. Great.
Okay.
Right, so as we mentioned, we also have in our midst Professor Isaac Kwiafe. Please, he has a lot to share with us. A round of applause.
Good morning, and welcome to another gathering. Like Dr. Wilton said, the department is growing. A lot of things are changing. Thanks to Professor Katriku, I have always maintained my position that if you were government, you should have had your statue in front. Yeah. On a more serious note, I think he has changed the department, the direction of our thinking and everything. And I would be happy if we can give him another round of applause. Thank you. But the rest is for us to take the mantle and move forward. I keep saying that you are the future, right? You are the future. We say it as if it's a joke. When we say, oh, you are the future, it doesn't sound like it's true, isn't it? But then let's start doing some thinking. Just move your mind 10 years ago. Where you were. You were probably in JSS. Or, isn't it? Then 10 years later, university. Now give yourself 10 years to come. Some of you will be in leadership positions. And it just comes like that. It looks like it's something simple. So you have to shape your thinking. You have to shape your thinking. If we don't shape our thinking, we'll be behind. And let me be honest with you. There's something that we always miss. We keep asking ourselves that why is it that we get the best of students? Are you aware that you are the best in the country? Like if you are picking top students in the country for computer, are you aware? Or you just think it's by chance that you are here? You can ask your colleagues who did not get Legon and ask of their SS results and then ask of whatever, depending on the level you are, ask their previous course, and then immediately you should know that you are different from them. So if you don't change your thinking and your mindset, and you let your thinking and mindset be like abroad, that is where we suffer. I have had students, very good students, that I've told them, hey, come do PhD here. And then they tell me, no, we want to go to UK and US. They go and then within a year they call you. Can you help us? I'm like, but you are with the professors. Why are you calling me? The fact of the matter is that we are doing a lot here. But because of lack of resources, if you put 90% of the people you see up there who are doing well in our condition, they will fail terribly. And if you put 90% of us over there, we will super excel. And it's a fact. I hope you are getting me. Most of the faculty that you are seeing are actually schooled outside. So what I'm trying to say is that you have the opportunity. You have the people. Just change your mindset. We keep talking about resources. How do we mobilize resources? In some places, it's the students who are helping to get the resources. If the students don't help us to win grants, we will not get money to buy the resources. If the students don't help us to do those wonderful things, we cannot make the name to get labs. MIT is MIT not because of the lecturers there, but it's because of the students there. Do you agree with me? It's the students. The lecturers and the researchers are only leading the research. It's the students who are doing a chunk of the work. It's like apprenticeship, right? If you are working with your master and you are not ready to learn, you are not ready to come out with new ideas, your master will not be able to give you more ideas on how to move. So what I would say is that I plead with you, when it comes to selecting of project topics and all, and then you come to us with hairdressing, salon software and things like that, sometimes it feels like we are not there. Right now it is changing. Everything is AI, isn't it? Everybody is doing something on AI. If you go to Kaggle, the competitions are there. How many of us are joining those competitions and trying to win? I'm not seeing any hand up. But there's a lot of money there. As we speak, Google has launched a new competition for you to use the Gemma 3, that is on-device platforms, to come out with an app to solve a problem in your country. And they are putting a lot of money on it. They are, these 2 Kenyan languages, they are doing $1,000 each for whoever is able to come out with an ASR model. All these things are going on and we are not seeing our students. So please, we can start making money here. I know of students who are already making money and they are already making the mark. Reynard, your guide, the one who was working with me, Reynard is now working with Bloomberg. He finished, by the time he was in 3rd year, he had an internship with them, he's not coming. Last time when we met him, the guy is taking about £6,000 a month. Student of University of Ghana. Are you aware that the person who optimized Google Maps for Ghana was actually a computer science student? I recall. The first day I heard it, I was shocked. Finished first degree here. And she did it after first degree, not after even master's. So what I'm trying to say is that we have to change our mindset. We should not be thinking that we are underdogs. That is the problem. Our first problem is that we start thinking that we can never be like the Mark Zuckerbergs. And the moment you have that mindset, you will never be like them. The ladies, when you see a hairstyle and it is nice, right? It's a nice hairstyle. The moment you do it, you realize that it feels like everybody has done the same hairstyle. Is that not true? The guys, it's the same thing. You see a particular shoe and you like it. The moment you buy it, it feels like everybody's wearing the same shoe. That's how the brain works. You only see what you think. That is all. You only see what you think. If you think you are an underdog, you will always be an underdog. If you think you are a leader, the brain works like that. Things will come to you and you start feeling it. So I wouldn't want to take much of the time, but my final words is that never think that you are an underdog. Right? If you are an eagle, you don't feed with chicks and think you are humble. No. You are only underestimating yourself. Thank you very much.
A round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause. Wow, awesome, awesome. You are really lucky and privileged to be a part of this maiden edition of our postgraduate student workshop. There are several stories. We actually have a student who is joining Reynard in October 27th. You see, I'm adding the details because I've seen his contract, all signed and sealed when he was in level 300. And so the sky is the limit. So without further ado, I don't know if anybody has any question. Let me know if you have a question for any of our presenters, Dr. Matuda Wilson or Professor Isaac Kwiafe. Yes, his lab is breeding a lot of great minds. Feel free to engage with them. There are a lot of labs as well. Prof. Solomon also is leading a lab. Prof. Ferdinand is leading a lab. And I think Prof. Apati too. Yes, and we are collaborating in that particular space. So that is very, very important. Now, we will not lose too much time. In the spirit of collaboration, we have here with us Dr. Felicia Engman to also give us a remark. Dr. Felicia Engman is with GIMPA, and she is a senior lecturer and the coordinator for women in IT and engineering. Please, a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So when I stand here and I see my professors, I'm wondering, am I being assessed for my PhD thesis or something? Yeah. But I'm very happy to be here. We're having meetings here and then the other lab over there. Prof. Fedi, Prof. Jamal, Prof. Yafi came in. I think when we came at the very beginning, there were very few faculty, a lot of workload. And I was wondering how Prof. Fedi and Prof. Jamal were doing it with a few other faculty at the time. But now we see a very large department, and I'm very happy to be here. Being an alumni of alumnus of this particular department. I think I had my speech prepared, but when I heard the conversations going on, I left the speech because it's not really important. But what I think I heard about most of the things that people were sharing was, and the challenges about your postgraduate education here in the University of Ghana. So I just want to share my experience. So I had my undergrad in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, and then I had my master's in China, and then I came back to Ghana and I had my PhD here. And then during my PhD study, we had the experiential learning, so I traveled to the US for a year. So if you are wondering how the PhD program is, I think Prof. Fedi and then the other professors in the department have really structured the program such that I don't see a difference between what I experienced outside and what you are seeing here. I mean, there are other opportunities you may have, but I think you are almost there as a department, getting the students that experience, the exposure, the collaborations. You have them. What you have to do is then to prepare your mind and look out for the opportunities and then push yourself to achieve them. You see, one of the things that the young me back then after undergrad was wondering, how can I be a computer scientist in this time? Because even then there was no AI, but I was wondering, what skills do I have to meet the market? But I didn't know that the training I had received just home here in Ghana was just enough to push me to compete everywhere. And so with all the students I have interacted with over the years, I noticed that I was just not shortchanged having studied in Ghana. Now you are studying in the University of Ghana, and one of the things I remember at our graduation, the guest speaker said was that don't let anybody make you think that the PhD education, the graduate education you are having is of no use and that you can make money or you can make your life without having to go through that education. Yes, it's true, you can make your money, but ask yourself, why is D-Tech chasing people to take away their names, the PhD and the professors from their names, if it wasn't really important? Why are they using them without the proper channels? It means that what you are going for as a graduate student is a very important thing. There are many times you want to give up. Prof understands where I'm coming from. You want to give up every time, but that is where you know that I am in the right place, because now I am being faced with a challenge that I have to push myself to solve. I think that the graduate education or even education is not about those who are really brilliant, because I mean there are lots of brilliant people who are not achieving the things you are achieving. It's about those who don't give up, who decide that I want to do this, and they push themselves to get it. Prof. Yafe mentioned that when you make up your mind, you will see that the things will just start falling around you. The help you need, the support you need, it will just start falling around you because you have made up your mind that I want to achieve this. So what do you want to be with the education you are receiving? What do you want to be with the people in the classroom you have now? Really, they are a great resource. There are times we want to have a program and you just make a phone call to someone you have been in the class with, and the person is a CEO or someone at some place, and things just happen because you were in the classroom with the person. I am here because I studied here, and so when Prof called me, it was just calling from a place I call home to be here. And so just make use of the networks that you create whilst you are in this program. Make use of the opportunities. We are calling for a conference like this. And really, I was in Covenant University. I think Mark was mentioning it today. And one of the conversations we had with one of the professors was about a PhD conference, was a graduate conference he had an experience in UK, and it changed his life. And so when I heard you were having a PhD, a graduate conference, I was like, wow. I mean, whatever you think of, they are doing outside there. University of Ghana is already doing it. So you are in the best place. You are getting almost everything that you need. Just make up your mind and things will fall into place. Don't be afraid to chase your dreams. I don't think that the department is trying to cage you by giving you a particular research area to do. You never know what that will take you. So just open up yourself and make use of the opportunity you have. Thank you very much.
Wow.
And I want to say a very big thank you to all my professors who have been of help and are still engaging me even after school. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And for the ladies here, you know she's the first, and so far, in fact, the first PhD product from this department. The first female PhD product from this computer science department. So please, she deserves another round of applause. Yes, right. So we get down to business, the purpose for which we arrived here. We have a plenary keynote address, and today it's going to be delivered by Dr. Brighter Ajiman. And he's joining us all the way from Australia. He's an AI research assistant, an educator, and a software engineer, currently completing an HDR program at the University of Wollongong, Australia. He would throw more light on that. His research focus is on multi-agent collaboration in open and dynamic environments. His interests span collaborative multi-agent systems, reinforcement learning, the Internet of Things, and drug discovery. He has authored several peer-reviewed publications in these areas and is actively contributing to open source projects and academic peer review. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bright Ajiman.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm grateful to the entire team that organized this program, to Prof. Solomon for the invite. I also want to acknowledge Riafi, who is one of my friends. He has helped me so much, continues to do so, and I'm forever grateful. Just as the previous speaker mentioned, to find my people here to be auditors for my PhD, but yeah, we'll try it today. So I thought maybe I should also chime in a little bit on the tools, but just a brief comment. One of the things that I found to be that has helped me been using my students' emails, then email for activating the student packages of the software I want. So just sometimes you may want to do that if it is smart, or let's say any of the tools that you can always have access to your student email. You can always look out for a student. Sometimes it's just a few minutes. They will send a link to your email, and they want you to verify that the email address belongs to verified university, and you'll be able to. Okay, so I want to quickly let me share my screen first. All right. Okay, so I want to share with you preliminary results of the work that I just completed. Hopefully, to share your ideas. I believe it's a new direction, And the results, the final result that we also got has been encouraging. So I'm pretty sure for those of you that may be interested in this direction, there's a whole host of ideas to be discovered, still yet to be identified. So yeah, it's on density based. It's basically on hysteretic Q learning or hysteretic learning. In case you're familiar, if not, don't worry. I'll try and go over the background information so that you are able to make sense of it. So for those of you that followed or have been following the news, the tech news, especially at the beginning of the year, if you monitored the notes that were given by people like Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella and others, you may have probably heard of agentic AI, a lot of agentic stuff being thrown about. It's all because we are moving into a new phase of AI where we want to place a lot of emphasis on the agent technology, right? In fact, single agent technology I think of it as a mature technology now. It's in a lot of things, translation, so many more, right? As many of you, or if not all, are aware of. So if you think of how everything, the progress in AI world is gravitating towards, it's very easy to think that to foresee a world where we would want these different agentic systems or different agents or autonomous agents. We want them to work together to accomplish certain tasks, right? So for this particular work, we decided we looked at the kind of multi-agent scenarios that can be classified as centralized, partially observable Markov decision process. It's basically to say that we have this environment, right? We can have, let's say, this a set of self-driving cars or robots that are being tasked to go deliver some stuff, or let's say mobile or wireless sensor networks, or the nodes in the autonomous, right? But a key thing is that we expect that these entities or agents, autonomous agents, should be able to cooperate. Okay, so that it's multi-agent, obviously, because there are several agents, unlike the single agent scenarios. So aside from that key property of this class of multi-agent system problems, they are also fully decentralized. That is to say, we don't have a central node that is doing everything, right? It gets information and is able to think for everyone, right? So that is a key component of the POM-DP class of problems. The environment that they also find themselves in typically tend to be partially observable, all right? Because they don't see everything. They can only observe an aspect of the state, okay? So that is one key property. Now, the research I've been doing for, let's say, for the past 4 years, I think the two keywords that keeps coming up in all that I've been doing is open and dynamic, in addition to the POM-DP problems or issues. So open in the sense that if you look at the scenarios over here, let's say the delivery robots. We can have an instance where the battery of this particular robot it's no more functioning, and because of that, it goes offline arbitrarily. We don't know the time that this will happen, but we know sometimes these scenarios can happen. And when that happens, we may want to quickly drop in a replacement for this, right? So we don't, because of this, when you look at this setting, we have a situation where we can classify the environment as open in the sense that sometimes agents may leave and they may also join, and the time that they may do so is something that we do not know. Also, the environment tends to be dynamic, or if you like, stochastic, in the sense that sometimes it may be raining, the weather may change, a lot of unexpected things can happen, just as we have in life, right? So these are key characteristics of this class of problems. So, yeah. So a key thing that we always want to achieve in such scenarios is when you look at the success of deep learning, or what we tend to be biased towards, call AI these days. We want these agents to learn the rational behavior themselves, right? We want to train them, feed them, or let them experience the environment, and over time learn what is optimal, or what the desired action. So there are several ways that we can achieve this, right? We can say, okay, we are going to have a central component, and this central component will learn the different policies that each agent should use to act in the environment. But is as good as mine. Obviously, that is not the best, right? Because such approach, one of the key limitations of such methods is that they don't scale very well. So maybe for 3 or 4 or maybe 5 agents, that will work. But when you start getting, let's say, 100, 500, thousands, then you're going to have the curse of dimensionality problem with the centralized approach. So because of that, there are 2 main ways that you find in the literature for achieving this approach. That is the approach of training individual agents, okay, to learn the policy, how they should act in an environment. So one of them is the centralized training with decentralized execution, and the other is decentralized training and with decentralized execution. Okay, so the one key problem that arises when we want to train these agents, in addition to what I've already identified, the partial and all that stuff in the previous slide, is that when we have, let's say, 2 agents, if you think of it this way, we have 2 agents. Agent 1 is trying to look at the behavior of agent 2 and adapt its behavior so that it collaborates properly with agent 2, right? And whilst it is doing that, agent 2 is also doing the same thing. All right, so we sort of have a cycle. We go this way, and then the other is going this way, and the learning goal keeps shifting, right? So when we have a scenario like this, we say the environment is non-stationary, right? And this is a key problem and a key challenge in achieving this policy learning for individual or independent agents. So because of this, the centralized training with decentralized execution paradigm takes opinion. It looks at the way, let's say, we train for let's say football, right? Typically, you have your training session, and during the training session, you will have you can do so many things that are not legal in the actual game. Like, say, you can play your 4 small poles, or restrict the field. You can play only half pitch for your training, a particular type of training, tactical training, or you can just play rondo to help you with your passing game, right? So you do so many things just to help you perform on match day. And on match day, you actually follow the rules. So with centralized training, the whole idea is that the information that we can get, like the state or anything that we can get that can help the agent to learn, we would feed that to the agents. So we would train all the agents in an independent way, but in a centralized fashion, right? Where we feed the state, we can feed states or maybe other stuff, heuristics that we may come up with to help them learn an independent policy. Then when it's time for them to execute, like when it is match day, we just have to duplicate the individual policy that we've trained for all the agents, and then they can then go into the field and act, right? So the problem with that approach, the CTDE approach, is that whilst it has led to a lot of state-of-the-art training methods, in the environment where we need online learning. So if you look at that approach, it is offline, like you learn offline and then you act online. But when you have a scenario where you need online and act online, especially in the class, the kind of environment that I considered, the open and dynamic environment that I mentioned the previous slide, then you will have challenges using the CTDE, the centralized training with decentralized execution approach, right? So for another example I can think of is, let's say you have, you want independent agents to navigate how they cross independent autonomous cars to navigate how they use an intersection, right? And all these cars are coming from different companies, Tesla, BYD, so many others. You cannot do centralized training because of trade issues. No company would want to open up and bring all their trade secrets, centralize that for all these agents to be trained, right? So there are merits. While there are serious merits for the CTDE paradigm, there are also important reasons why we may want to train agents in a distributed fashion and let them in a decentralized fashion and let them act decentralized also. So one of the methods that has been used in the literature for achieving this is something called hysteretic learning or hysteretic Q learning. So the idea is that, in fact, it's a very simple, straightforward idea. We want to use Q learning, which is an approach for training single agent. We want each agent to learn their policy independently. And then whilst they do that, to address the non-stationarity, which is the key issue for the domain, that setting, we want to rather introduce what we call hysteresis. So we don't want for each update, each training cycle, right? We want to let the agent improve their estimate of a particular experience, okay, the Q value, okay, that is how optimal a particular action is. We want them to improve their estimate of it, but we don't want them to override their previous estimate entirely. So we introduce, instead of just the simple update rule, like let's say this, right? We just introduce two learning rates, okay, lambda over here, and then beta, right? Two learning rates, and just let these two learning rates control how they update their previous estimate. So the first learning rate here is the high learning rate. So if there is something to be learned, if there's an improvement from the current computation that we have of a particular experience and the previous estimate that the agent has, then we would want to use the high learning rate. If not, we just want to learn just a bit. We just want to update it a little bit. So this helps it to improve, to control overestimation of a particular particular action. So in the end, when we want to, so this is basically in the classical hysteretic Q learning, right? When we want to apply it in the deep learning world, okay, which we call deep HQL, we can then interpret what we compute over here, the two learning rates, as assigning weights, learning weights to the Q, the deep Q network update rule, okay? So this is still your target, and this is the previous estimate from the parameterized model. So this is from the target model, for those of you who are familiar with the DQN paper. The new addition over here is this particular weight over here that is computed. Now, that is where the key problem, what we try to look at, starts. So when you look at this, what you realize is that this particular weight that are assigned, right, does not make any assumption about the quality of each sample. So what that leads to is that since there can be bad experiences in the environment and good ones, right, for which reason we need to even train the agent in the first place, if we any assumption about the quality of each sample, but we are just concentrating on improving the estimate, which is basically what the hysteretic Q learning does, whilst we use the high and low way to control the non-stationarity problem, then there are chances that there's a chance that we will just improve our estimate of the poor samples. The reason is that most of the time the agent starts in an environment knowing nothing. They behave suboptimally, and then they learn the optimal behavior over time, right? So most of the time the experiences that they encounter and they want to learn from are not good enough, right? So if we don't, if we have a scenario, a system like this that does not make any assumption or does not assign the weight based on the quality of the experience, then there's a potential that the agent will struggle. So typically what this manifests in is that you have to train the agent for a very long time, hoping that over time it will sample the optimal experiences enough, all right, so that it will help the agent to, the agent will be able to learn the optimal behavior, and then will finally, as the exploration reduces and it tries to exploit the learn policy a lot more, it will encounter a more optimal experience and improve on that. So that is the key problem, that the crux of this particular research. So we decided to just explore some ideas, a preliminary concept over here before we even venture into the deeper aspects of this particular challenge. So what we came up with, the first algorithm that we proposed in this particular for this to address this is, okay, we said, okay, for every target that we have, if we take all the targets, right, let's think of let's find a way to cluster the targets, okay, so that way we even though we don't know which cluster, assuming let's say we take the set of targets and we cluster them, and we end up having, let's say, 5 clusters. We may not know which cluster is actually the one with the quality experiences, right? But what we can do is that we can use the size of each cluster, which is basically what we have over here at this part. We can use the size of each cluster to determine the weight, right? So if the cluster size is large, right, then we will the weight that will be assigned instead of the hysteretic weight will be small, because there are so many samples in there, right? So this idea is very similar to the idea of balancing a data set to train a model. All right. So that is basically the key idea of the summary of this entire algorithm. We just take the cluster size and use that to determine the weight. So that's the first method, and we call this clustering-based target distribution. And so we just want to take the targets and then use that the distribution that it gives us to determine the weights, right? And then the next one that we proposed for this early phase of this study is the ranking-based target distribution weighting. So this idea too takes a look at all the targets that we have, and then it will try and compute a percentile. So let's say the kth percentile or the 90th percentile, right? So if this is the entire set, maybe this part, and then it will think of all the samples that are within the 90th percentile, right, as optimal. So it makes a strong assumption about the quality of these samples compared to the previous approach, and then it will use that to determine the weight. So the idea is that if we are estimating Q values and we determine the percentile, right, and the percentile is a sample is above a particular threshold, then we sort of think of it as optimal. So if that's the case, then we want to train a lot more on that. Otherwise, we want to use the small learning rate. We don't want to focus a lot more on that. These are suboptimal experiences, and because of that, it's likely we'll have a lot of them in the buffer of the agent, right? So we don't need to spend so much time on that. We should just focus a lot more on the optimal samples that are few in number. Okay, so that is the idea of what we call ranking-based TDW, target distribution weighting. All right, so in fact, when you look at this one here, we are still using the two learning rates. Just that as when you look at this comment over here, we just set the higher learning rate to 1. So that is what you have phase wise. So that's where the strong assumption is coming from. So because this was, like I said, the early phase of the study, we just decided to use some classical simulation environment, multi-agent environment to test this idea. So the first one that you find is, in fact, the first two are what we call the cooperative biometrics games. So with the climbing one is a very popular one in the literature. So here we have two agents, agent 1 and agent 2. All right. And each agent in this case has 3 actions that they can select from in each time step, right? So for us as humans, I mean, this is a payoff matrix, right? So when you look at it, you can clearly tell that the best action for them to take is when both of them select A1, right? So in that case, they get 11, right, as the payoff. But if, let's say, agent A1 says that, okay, I picked at time step 0, I picked A1, and my friend picked, I picked A1. It doesn't know what the other friend selected because it's independent. They are autonomous, right? Independent learning over here. So it picked A1 and it observed a payoff of 11. So maybe this is good. Let me pick it again in time step, the next time step. It picks it again, but this time round, A2 is also trying to explore in the environment. A2, action 2, then all of a sudden, agent 1, instead of experiencing 11 again, experiences negative 30. And to its surprise, start asking questions why that is the case. Because it's the case because the other agent is exploring. So that is the challenge of this simple game. For the agents to independently learn that the optimal thing that they all have to do is selecting A1. So when you look at the penalty game too, it's quite similar. But there are multiple optimal actions over here, unlike this one where we only have one, right? So we want to also test if we have multiple optimal actions, in this case A1, or A3, would they be able to learn a cooperative policy? Okay, so that is the problem in the penalty environment. So similar to the scenario that I pointed over here. Here we have K as a penalty, right? So I think in our experiment we set it to -10. So if A1 selects agent 1 selects A1 and it gets 10, and A2 also tries to explore and is selected A3, because sometimes it selects A3 and it also gets 10 over here, right? So that's the confusion among the two of them. Then there will be a challenge. They will all get the penalty. So that's the challenge over here. So the third scenario is the more complex of the three. It's called the predator-prey environment. So in this particular case, we have some agents. So in this illustration, there are 4 of them, and then 2 mobile targets, right? They can also move in this environment. And we want these agents to cooperate in arresting these bad guys or targets. All right, so it's a great world problem. But the challenge here, aside from what you may have identified, is the fact that the agent, this environment is partially observable. So the agent don't know every state that they are in each time. They only get an aspect of it. They only observe an aspect of it. So that is one challenge in the mix over here compared to the first, the biometrics game. So in the biometrics game, it's just the state vector is just a bunch of it's a one hot vector. So if I'm in state 1, then the states then the agent will just see 1 or something like that. So it's fully observable. But the challenge is, with, as I mentioned earlier, the avoiding the penalties and all of that, right? So that is the setting within which we conducted these experiments. So the results was quite impressive. I was not that surprised because I believed in the idea, but my team members also found it a bit interesting that it actually worked. So when you look at let's start with A. When you look at it, we compared these methods with other state-of-the-art independent Q learning methods. So for those of you, if you're familiar with the CD method, you may know of QMix, CQMix, QTran, and so many others. So we did not compare them. We don't find them over here because, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is a different setting. This is the distributed training with distributed execution. So of course, the basic baseline, which is independent Q learning, where we just let each agent learn their policies independently. And then the hysteretic Q learning, there's another method called best possible Q learning. And then the ones with the like the WICO method, the weighted BQL is a weighted the BQL method where we've added our proposed approach, right? That is the clustering methods and then the ranking approach. So those are the ones with the RQ and then the CL and the RQ, right? So when you look at this, what we identified here is that for the penalty, the climbing game, right? The A is for climbing game. For the climbing game, apart from the ranking, the RTW method, all the other methods could not learn the optimal action, right? Even though it's a simple game, it can be quite challenging in the independent scenario, right? Because all of them don't know what the other is doing, right? But the ranking approach was able to do this because it's able to look at the value, the Q value, the targets that are computed, and then it tries to identify the optimal one. That is where the strong assumption comes in. So here, I think we use the 99th percentile. So we raise the standard. So for a particular target to be regarded as optimal, it should be its quality, the Q value should be quite, the Q value of the target should be quite good, right? Not the estimate here, the target rather. So it's no surprise that the ranking method performed quite interesting over here. Now with the penalty game, the ranking method still performed very well. In fact, for both biometrics games, the clustering method did not perform that well. The clustering method of our approach, the proposed approach, did not perform that well, apart from the ranking method. And upon further investigation, we realized that, in fact, it was expected anyway, because when you look at clustering, it's still the idea of using clustering in reinforcement learning. It's still novel. It hasn't been explored that much. So it's quite there aren't much developed algorithms for the reinforcement learning case, right? So we just tried using the I think the DBS scan and methods and all of that, which are just known for the static case, right? So we just tried, what that means is that the parameters, selecting the parameters of the clustering algorithm, it's important. It's sensitive to the performance of the approach over here. So it was no surprise that this actually happened. But the good thing is that the idea of using the target distribution to determine the hysteretic weight instead of the temporal difference approach, which is which is basically the cornerstone of several methods, even in several recent methods, it's quite interesting for us to find. Now, the third scenario, which is the predator-prey, and a more challenging case, revealed some interesting stuff. So, in fact, whilst I was quite confident about the method working for the first two, for this one I wasn't, because there's a paper that was published I think last year at AMAS, which is a top conference on for multi-agent discussion, multi-agent literature. This paper using communication to achieve optimal performance, and the results show that the agents could not learn, could not behave well in the same predator-prey environment. So I tried to follow the same parameters. And what I found in this particular case is that the proposed method, in fact, even the clustering approach, all of them performed quite well, way above what the AMAS paper reported, which is at 0. And here we have some even getting as high as a little above 20, the score of 20, which is quite impressive to find. The best performing baseline method was the hysteretic Q-learning method, which we find over here. And in fact, even in this case, the worst performing classroom method outperformed that approach. And I think this one goes on to reify the point that for the classroom method, they are sensitive to the parameters that are to be used, right? So that is that was quite interesting for us to find, which served as the basis for us to explore further into other domains, right? Which is which we have worked on quite well. So just to conclude and wrap up, first, independent Q-learning, or learning independent policy for agents is an important thing that I personally believe, as our world move into more of AI stuff, agentic AI, agentic products and all, it's foreseeable that we want to let all of them collaborate to help us achieve certain tasks in the years to come, right? And we need to start looking into how we train these agents independently for them to cooperate. So that is a key thing for us to understand. And with this particular work, we've actually proved that we don't always have to use the HQL method, which is, like I mentioned, is the cornerstone of several of the state-of-the-art methods, even in the CTDE case, like weighted QMix and all, right? We've shown that we can actually use this new family of algorithm, which is the density-based approach, density-based hysteretic Q-learning, to achieve improved performance. Now, for the two methods that were proposed, we've also identified that for clustering, there's an opening over there. We think that if we are able to develop novel clustering algorithms beyond the traditional ones that exist, that are also friendly to the reinforcement learning case, then there may be a chance that hopefully we can address the limitation that we found with the clustering methods in those experiments. So taken together, I mean, the approach basically shows that we can use the target distribution weighting approach to develop robust policies in this setting. So the next phase of the work had also focused on more challenging scenarios, like more realistic scenarios where the environment is stochastic, which is what we really have in our world. The real world deployment, the environment is open and dynamic, right? As I mentioned. So we've looked at that, and the results have been impressive. So hopefully, at other opportunities, I may be able to share that. So I will just wrap this one, end it over here, and in case there are any questions, I'm glad to answer them or go further. Thank you very much.
Let's give him a round. Presented in mathematical symbols, among other things. Anybody, any comments, any question? Anybody on Zoom? If you want to ask a question on Zoom, kindly raise your hand. And okay, Dr. Jasapati wants to ask a question. Kindly unmute and then proceed to ask your question, sir. Prof wants to ask a question.
Okay, thank you for this presentation. That's quite interesting. I just want some few clarity on something. You mentioned something about the target distribution, right? And I want to know if the distribution you propose already existing and how they really work. If you can educate us on that.
which one is it? The target
The when
distribution?
distribution of exactly. Is it the one we know in statistics or is just in terms?
Okay. So let me just just a second. Just a second. Make sure. So for there is a method. One of the basic methods in reinforcement learning called Q learning, right? My computer is messing me up. Just a second, let me. Okay, so there is the Q learning approach that is at the heart. It's a basic algorithm in reinforcement learning, and for Q learning, the idea is that we start off with, if we have a set of states, right? We can at say time step 0, we assign all of them some random values as the value of each the actions for each state, right? So if we have let's say 3 states and 3 actions, you can just have your 3 by 3, something like that, and then you assign some random values, and over time, as the agent experiences certain response, because there is a reward, right, that the agent receives after every action that they take in the environment, they are able to improve their estimate for each state, the value of each action for each state, as they continuously engage in the environment. So that is for the single agent case. I'm not talking about multi-agent at this point. So the algorithm is quite the update rule is quite simple. You take the previous state, and then you take the reward that the agent has gotten, and then you use that to compute a new estimate of the action. So this is basically what we refer to as the target for that action, right? So we compute this value over here after we have received the reward. But when the agent is going to act in the environment, it only has what it thinks, what it estimates of the value, so that it uses that to derive the policy for its behavior in the environment. So when I mention target, this is basically what I mean. So if you think of this value as, let's say, y, then all of a sudden you sort of have something very similar to mean squared error objective. So, or if you like supervised learning, right, where this is like the prediction and this is like the true label, right? But and of course, maybe I can use this. This will make a lot more sense, right? The mean square, since this is in the form already. So if we think of this as y hat, which is the prediction, and this as the true label, all of a sudden this is basically a supervised learning problem, right? But for reinforcement, determine the weight that it should apply for the update, and that is what we have over here as the 2 learning rate, the lambda over here, and then the beta over here. So what we did for this particular work was to look at if let's say we sample from a place where we keep the experiences that we've met in the environment. We sample from this buffer and we get 10 experiences. Then it means we can compute a vector of 10 elements, right? 10 targets, right? And that will basically give us the distribution. That's where we derive the distribution from. And so we look at this vector, and then if we are using clustering, we know what to do. We just try and find the different clusters that exist within this target distribution. Or if you're using the ranking, the RTW approach, we just pick a percentile, let's say 90th percentile or 99th percentile, and then we can use that to determine the weight instead of the temporal difference error. So the error that we get, okay, between the new estimate and our previous estimate is what we call the temporal difference error. Okay. So hopefully this explains it a bit more. So here, if we have a lot more to learn, so maybe we underestimated, right? Then we have to update aggressively. So that is why this is the high learning rate. But if our estimate is not that bad, maybe we've overestimated or our estimate is just right, then we don't want to update that much. We just use beta, which is a small learning rate.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So from the values you are generating from your target, right, as a distribution, is it following any of the traditional distribution we know, or is just numbers pulled out normal, or it's being Gaussian, or did you observe anything like that?
Okay, so we did not go into that whether they are following. We did not study that aspect of it, but I think that this is, like I mentioned, this is a new direction. I believe this is a new direction for the domain, and hopefully it's for us to it's for further study to determine whether maybe the type of distribution too has an influence on the quality of the estimate. So that is something that can definitely be pursued.
Okay. It's been new, is what sparked my interest, and that's why I want to understand the process in which you are following. Now, in question 2, I'm assuming that's an expectation function, right?
Pardon?
Question 2, is that an expectation function that you have over there?
That you mean this? Yes, expected, yeah.
So in that function, I cannot see quite clearly here, but I'm wondering what parameters you are estimating in that function, where the E is.
Okay. So here.
Exactly, that one.
Yeah. Okay. So here, I think would you want me to zoom in a bit?
I think that will help. So that's why I want to know what.
Let me try and do that. Then maybe I can use that to explain. Okay. Yeah. This is what you're referring to, right?
Good.
Great. Okay. So basically, what we do over here, basically we're saying that for each time we sample an experience. So when we say an experience, what I mean is that the state that the agent observed, right? The action that it took, the reward that it received, and then the next state that the environment transitioned into. So that is each sample. And we sample DI, which is basically the experience buffer, a place where we keep all the experiences that the agent keeps, all the experience that it has encountered so far. So that is basically what this is. So what we do here, in this sense, is we just estimate the key thing we're estimating here are the theta's. In fact, this is the subject of the entire update. So this over here is the parameters of the target network. So the DeepQ learning DQN paper, which is a paper by Mne et al. I think a 2015 paper. Maybe you can look at that as a preliminary towards understanding this equation fully. What they introduce a trick for stabilizing learning when you are using temporal difference learning for in the deep learning context. So what idea that they came up with was, instead of using the same parameter that you are estimating also to compute the target, have two networks. So one is the target network, right? It has this parameter, and then at certain points in time, you can synchronize, you can update the parameters of, you just copy over all the parameters that you have over here, and then you just update. So maybe after every 10,000 time step, for example, you just copy over here. So you use that to update. Otherwise, what will happen is that you estimate these parameters. You use the same thing to compute the target. So it's like you're setting your own exams, and then you are marking yourself. And so the learning process will just keep chasing the tail like that. So that is why it's important to use a different set of parameters. But because obviously, because it's reinforcement and we don't know the true label, right? So we can just use some heuristics to do this. So I think to the best of my understanding, there isn't any strong verbose or robust mathematical proof for this. But the whole point is empirically it works. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay, yeah. Now, to your experiment, you mentioned something about collaborative with the third diagram, the predictor prey. And I was wondering how they collaborate, if you can educate us on that. Because from predictor prey, my knowledge in that has to be competitive. And I heard collaborative. So I'm just wondering why collaborative and not competitive.
Okay, so the area of multi-agent systems is a very broad field, and like you rightly mentioned, there's a whole set of study on the competitive area where agents compete. So that is where the game theory ideas and stuff like that come in, right? So if you noticed, even though we have we have an equilibrium, multiple equilibrium over here, I did not mention things like Nash equilibrium or Pareto and all those game theory stuff, because this particular work we just focused on the collaborative settings, or if you like cooperative setting. So it means all environment, by default environment that we use to test our ideas, we have to make sure that we set them in the collaborative sense. So just to go directly to the point of your question, in this sense, these agents over here, the ones in red, we think of them as mobile targets, so they can change their positions over time. So in this particular setting, even though they move slowly, and the goal is that these agents over here have to collaborate to detect them. So if let's say 4 realizes that, or maybe I see 2 over here, let me jump into the same cell and arrest it. So when I say arrest or detect, it just means that both of them, the agents find themselves in the same cell as the red one, right? So if this blue one over here, 4 over here, just goes in to perform the detection, because it's not collaborating with any other agent, right? It is penalized, right? But so the only time we say that they've successfully done that is if 2 or more find themselves executing an action that leads into both of them being the same location as the target. So that is that's the setting of this particular great world experiment. I wonder if that addresses your question.
Yes, but I'm just what's the prey here and what's the predator?
So the are the red.
The red ones, okay.
And then the blue ones are the predators, right? So they are just trying to catch the prey over here, if you like.
Okay. So in the normal physical sense, I mean, in the normal setup of usage, right?
Mm-hmm.
How will you compare this? I know, for example, in the normal mass world, you could have looked at maybe the hawk and then the hen.
Mm-hmm.
So the hen protects itself from the hawk. The hawk does everything to also consume the hen. So there's always competition over there.
Yes.
So looking at the great world experience over here, what can you relate it to for us to appreciate where there's collaboration, where there's competition?
Okay. So in this particular case, if we have a scenario where, let's say, maybe I can just use the first slide. Let me just go back to that. The first, I think I had a real world scenario there. Let me see. Yeah, here. Good.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at this, let's take this mobile sensor team scenario. So we have a scenario where if I want one problem that has been on my mind, sometimes I think of how I can maybe bring some of these ideas to we have Galamsey sites now, Galamsey issue in that country, right? So we have these sites, and these sites can be a bit static for some time before they close shop and move to a different site. So those can you can think of those galamsey sites as, let's say, the prey, right? They're just there. So we can then deploy, let's say, a team of sensors or unmanned area vehicles, some drones that we've linked together using an algorithm like this, right? And all that they have to do, they move, and their job is to collaborate in detecting this. So we when a particular agent report that it has seen a galamsey site, instead of just believing that one agent, maybe we can set a threshold that we would want 3 agents to rather confirm the same thing, right? Similar to the predator-prey scenario. So when we get that, then we know that there is a site over here, maybe in a reserve forest. So we can then alert the forestry team or the soldiers or the task force responsible for that to go to the site, the reported GPS, and undertake an arrest or something like that. So that is a real world like application of some of these things that I've discussed.
Okay, yeah, that's clear. That's clear. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes. I guess that'll be all the questions for this particular session. We are very much grateful to Dr. Brighter Ajiman for such an inspiring presentation. I mean, I've always explained, and whenever I had the platform to speak to students, the importance of mathematics and how core critical it is to computer science. If you want to really be inventive and innovative, you see the gaps and represent them mathematically so that you see where we can tweak 1 or 2 things, especially to contribute to the body of science. So please don't run away from them. Embrace them. Once again, thank you so much. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Those of you on Zoom, please give us a virtual clap as well. A virtual clap, yes. Yes. Now we'll do it.
Thank you to all of you. My lecturers, Professor Sapo, Professor I think, and all others. I appreciate
I don't know if you can hear me. Mr. Azamati, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, your question, please.
Hello, I can hear you. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
You want me to ask my question? Hello, I want to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead and ask.
Yes, the presenter, I would like to know from you what are some of the targeted application area of your proposed study?
Okay. So basically, independent any area where we have a need to train autonomous agents independently, where we have a scenario where the agents have to learn in an online fashion and act in an online fashion, there is a possibility of applying this area. So just to be specific, some areas include what I had displayed on the slide. Let's say we have a scenario where agents or autonomous vehicles have to collaborate and navigate an intersection without crashing into each other or something like that, right? We have to make sure that these agents are able to interact. They're able to learn in a decentralized fashion without having any central component, right? And act in a decentralized fashion as well. So there are also applications like I mentioned, the one that I cited using the galamsey example, right? If we have an unmanned area, a set of unmanned area vehicles that we want them to detect some of these things, right? It's something that we can do. We can also have a mobile sensor team that we deploy in the field to monitor certain phenomena like maybe rain or degradation, things like that, right? So the whole point is, if we have a scenario where we can have a set of agents together in the environment, and these agents have to collaborate, right? Then there is a possibility. Smart home, smart grid, so many others.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. Once again, let's give a round of applause to Dr. Bright Tajaman for doing us all the honors. Right, so those of us in-house, we probably have been sitting for quite some time now. Probably same as the virtual followers. Because of time, we'll just do a small exercise and then we'll call on our next presenter to join us on stage. Now, if you think you need a coffee or something to catch your breath, they are served out there. We don't want all of us to move out there. We'll just transition like you are exiting to the washroom or something, and then the presentation continues. We have a lot of presentations for today, and we'll try and do our best to exhaust all of them. So, if you are on Zoom and you are watching me, join us and let us all spell coconut. Can we be on our feet briefly? Briefly. You can put the song on the background, but it shouldn't exceed my voice so that they can hear me. Yes. Can you see my full feature? My arm end to end. Yes, feel free, stretch up. We are going to spell the word coconut. Coconut. Make sure you have space. We all know the spelling, right? We all know the spelling of coconut. Okay, so we'll start, make sure you have space, you have a little space. Then we start with a C. We go like that. C. Okay. Oh, yes. And then the next word is what? O. So we do that. Oh, yes. What word is left? Another C, right? This time let's go to the right and see. See another C. There we go. There we go. Then another O. Is that not it? Yeah. Then we do it again. Which word is left? N. Okay, so let's go. And then which one is left? U. We can't reach the back, but you stretch as far as you can go. Like that. All right, then we are back. Then what word is left? The alphabet T. So let's... Oh, yes. Clap for yourself. Right. You can take your seats for now. Yes. So we are transitioning into the next presentation. And this is a student presentation by Eric Ofori. He's an MSc student. Kindly join me up here. Don't make me finish. He's going to present Towards Smart Agriculture, a comparative study of CNN-based ensemble models for early detection of cashew plant disease. I believe it's going to be interesting and exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Ofori. I'm still taking virtual claps, please.
All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So today I'll be speaking on Towards Agriculture, a comparative study of CNN-based ensemble models for the early detection of cashew plant diseases. Right. Throughout my presentation, I'll be speaking on the background of the study, the problem statement. I'll touch on the research aim and its objective, throughout to experimental setup and the results and discussion. So throughout this early modern age, we are more poised with the dominance of technology in almost every sector. Agriculture is also not left behind. In agriculture, with regards to smart agriculture, as this diagram you see here, constitutes a lot of Internet of Things that actually contribute to smart agriculture. So you have UAV farming, where you have UAV area monitoring. You also have tracking and tracing, you have supply chain management, and then also important of it all, you have analytics and data prediction, which today my research will align on the contribution for analytics of data and then prediction of crop diseases. All right, so my study will focus on the cashew plants as one of the dominant important crops within the agricultural ecosystem. So cashew as a plant have significant economic value to a lot of countries, including Ghana, Nigeria, and India also as well, which at the end of the day supports a lot of small holder farmers globally, right? So the chart you see here is a chart from the business research company who did some level of projection with respect to the value that cashew crop gives to the economy. So in 2024, they are projecting between 2024 and 2029 the steady growth of the value for cashew crops to various farmers globally. However, with the cultivation of cashew crops comes with various diseases that actually affect the plants, which at the end of the day also affects the economic value of the plant. Some of these diseases in my research study, I'll be focusing on diseases that affect the leaf of the plant. There are other diseases that affect the stem of the plant and so on and so forth. But my research study focuses on diseases that affect on the leaf of the plant. So some of these diseases that I'll be looking at is anthracnose, gumosis, leaf miner, and then red rust, which is a fungal infection that causes a reddish spot on the leaves of the plant. So a lot of studies have been already done in the domain area or in the research area with regards to the early detection of diseases in cashew plants, right? Some of these existing research and its limitation that I came across when consulting literature are, one is limited focus on cashew-specific data sets with respect to the fact that a lot of researchers, research in multi-crop areas where they are focusing on maize, tomatoes, pepper, and so on and so forth. But a little focus is given to cashew. So my research study identified this as a limitation and then limits my focus to cashew data sets. Then also there's insufficient disease class coverage when it comes to cashew, as in classifying the various forms of diseases in cashew and then identifying them accordingly. Then I also came across that a lot of researchers were relying on single CNN models, and they're not actually exploring the strength of combining single CNN models to actually do prediction. Then also, it was also difficult to evaluate the progress and contributions that researchers are actually doing with regards to the cashew plant domain. All right, so this brings me to the problem statement where a lot of cashew farmers, face, significant yield loss due to these plant diseases affecting the crops. So CNNs, that is convolutional neural network, has contributed enormously in literature as one of the best architectures when it comes to identifying patterns in images. And this has contributed enormously in the area of agriculture. So current solutions also rarely use assemble methods when it comes to the domain area of cashew to predict diseases. So this creates a more accurate and scalable approach to actually motivate this particular research study to look into the combination of single models as an assemble model for cashew plant disease. So my main motive for this particular research is to be able to come out with an assemble model that will, at the end of the day, will be able to combine the strength of single models to be able to enhance the prediction accuracy and robustness of cashew plant diseases. And then other objectives is to be able to train the model, relying on pre-trained models, pre-trained existing models such as efficient BNet 7, the ResNet 50, MobileNet V3 for cashew classification into healthy and then unhealthy leaves. So here, the unhealthy leaves are the various classes of diseases like the anthracnose, gummosis, leaf miner, and then red rust. Then also, I want to also go ahead to be able to design the assemble model exploring various techniques. So in this paper, I'm exploring various techniques such as soft voting, stacking, and then feature level fusion to also improve classification accuracy. Then also, when consulting literature, I came across a research done by Patel et al., which is the current state of the art with respect to this particular domain and the data set. They were using an RNN model to do the prediction for diseases. So then it raised a question that why are they using an RNN, which is more focused on sequential data, than CNN, which has already been dominated in the area of pattern identification. So I wanted to explore and then find out why they were using RNN model, and actually it was also performing better. So my research also contributes to literature by one, so development of a novel CNN framework. It also pioneered the application of MobileNet V3, which is the current state of the art in the MobileNet variants, specifically for this particular domain, which is cashew plants. And then also, it also contributes to agriculture and then early diagnosis of diseases, right? And then lastly, it also goes ahead to form the foundation of mobile and edge supporting devices, so that the model can be able to be deployed on mobile edge devices to help smallhold farmers. All right, so looking at the data set overview, so the data set was acquired from Mensah et al., which is a data set from various farms in Ghana. So the data set comprises of about 6,549 images. Out of it, it was augmented to about 25,817. Then these are the various forms of classes in the images. Now the images came with various diversities when it comes to the sizes, and then also the labels were annotated by plant virologists. So moving on with the data preprocessing technique. These are the various forms of preprocessing techniques that I employed during this particular study. One is image resizing and normalization. So with the data set acquired, you could realize that there were inconsistencies with regards to the size of the images. So throughout my data preprocessing pipeline, what I did is I had to resize the image to ensure uniformity by 300 by 300 pixels. And then I also did some few normalization also as well. Then I employed the one-hot encoding, label encoding, to be able to convert categorical labels into binary, which makes it much more easier for the model to extract features. I also did data shuffling and then splitting, where the data set was split into 80% training and then 20% testing and validation. Then to improve on the pipeline optimization, I relied on TensorFlow's tf.data to be able to do some sort of optimization on the pipeline. So the general overview of CNNs, that's convolutional neural networks, have an input layer, a convolution layer, pulling fully connected layer, and an output. So here the input is where the images are fed into the model. Then it goes through the convolution layer where the various features are extracted. Then subsequently they are classified, and then it goes out as an output. So this is my proposed model architecture and then assemble design. So if you look at this architecture, the input is received, that is the images, then it's loaded into a pre-processing pipeline where the images are resized, normalized, and then batched into a batch of 32. And then a one-hot encoding is also applied with respect to shuffling. Now, the various pre-trained models here were handled independently. So independent pipelines were created for EfficientNet B7 to be able to evaluate each of the disease classes. So you have independent pipelines for EfficientNet, independent pipeline for ResNet 50, and a MobileNet V3. Now, all these independent pipelines also feed into the various pipelines created for the assemble techniques. That is stacking, feature level fusion, and then soft voting. So models and techniques explored. So EfficientNet B7 was explored because this is the current state of the art when it comes to the EfficientNet variants. And then EfficientNet is able to combine efficiency when it comes to pattern extraction. Then also to support lightweight models, I went in for MobileNet V3, which is also the current state of the art with respect to MobileNet variants. And then ResNet 50 for its strength with regards to solving the issue of loose connections, and as well as residual connections. Then also stacking, I also employ stacking, soft voting, then feature level fusion, where you concatenate the various features of single models, and then before you move it into a classification phase for training. Then lastly, I also explored on the RNN, which is the current state of the art by Patel et al. In 2024 on my data set. So throughout my experimental setup, I had a total images of about, for training, I segregated my images into training, test, and then validation. And then the input size was 300 by 300. The base CNN models I use are EfficientNet B7, ResNet 50, and MobileNet V3. And then I also employed the various assemble techniques as discussed. Then the evaluation metrics here, I was using accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, and then AUC score. So the reason why I added AUC score is to be able to assess the model's strength when it comes to distinction, how the model is able to distinct itself from various classes of diseases. Right, so this brings me to the various results and then discussion. So the models were evaluated for each of the various classes of diseases, right? So for every model, various classes of diseases was evaluated on it. So for anthracnose, we had the EfficientNet B7, MobileNet V3, ResNet 50, and then feature level fusion. So for evaluating the model on anthracnose disease class, feature level fusion actually came out top with precision, recall, F1 score, AUC, and then accuracy also as well. For gummosis also, we have different varieties of performance where for feature level fusion, we had it performing very well in terms of precision, but however, recall, EfficientNet B7 actually performed very well, as well as F1 score, AUC, and accuracy. Healthy also, feature level fusion outperformed all the other models in terms of healthy. Leave minor, also in terms of leave minor, feature level fusion outperformed all models. So throughout the results, you can easily identify that the assemble feature level fusion was dominant across the entire experiment, and then outperforming other single models, as well as the other ensemble techniques that was applied. same was also done for the various assemble techniques that was employed. Now, this brings me to the overall model performance with respect to this particular experiment. So, in overall, you identify that the assemble feature level fusion, which concatenated the various features of the single models, was actually outperforming all models with respect to the benchmark model, that is the RNN. So we, at the end of the day, we had a precision of 97%, a recall of 96, F1 score of 97, and then an AUC value of 99, which is near to 1. Then, with respect, comparing it to the RNN model, it performed better slightly on all individual metrics with respect to the benchmark. So, so this graph is the performance comparison for the RNN with respect to the feature level fusion assemble, right? So with this, it's evident, you can see that with respect to precision, the proposed feature level fusion was performing better than that of the RNN. And then with respect to recall also, the feature level fusion was also performing better. And then accuracy and then AUC values also as well. All right, so to conclude, this particular study introduced a novel assemble CNN that was able to combine efficient net B7, ResNet 50, and mobile net V3 for cashew plant disease. And then also the proposed model, that is the feature level fusion, was able to achieve a 96.83% accuracy and then 99.12 AUC, which was able to outperform the RNN benchmark, right? So all the, this particular research was rigorously also evaluated across all the various classes of diseases, right? So, and to also finally conclude is that this particular research contributes to smart agriculture, which is very scalable for mobile and edge deployment. For future work, I'm looking at extending to other crops, since this particular data set I had is based in, it's a data set based in Ghana. I'm looking at crops also as well, that's beyond cashew, and then just to test the robustness of the model. Also, I'm also looking at also being able to integrate sensor data when it comes to humidity, when it comes to temperature. These are also factors that also affect the leaves, not just the diseases also as well. And then also being able to leverage on this to deploy on mobile and edge devices also as well. So this brings me to the end of my research. These are the various references as cited in the presentation.
Right. He's done a yeoman's job. So at this point, we will open the floor. I would want to give the platform to our panelists. We have about 3 of them online right now. I think I've seen Dr. Brown, Celeste Brown is there, Associate Professor at KUST, Professor Frimpong Chum, and then who else did I see online? Seth is also online, head of department, Seth Alonyo, Doctor. Yes. I hope I've gotten the name right. If you have any remarks, any inputs, any comments, of course, it's not exclusive to this presentation, but generally, we would love to hear from our panelists, at least before we continue with the presentation. Just so you know, we have panelists who are coordinating this event, and their input should serve as a valuable feedback, especially to the student presenters, please. So either of you who is ready, I think I will give privilege to the...
Some are saying no sound.
No what?
No sound, there's a comment.
No sound. Oh, I'm muted. I think I am. You have muted me here. Click on the yes. Sorry, please, you didn't hear me. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out. It's just a technical glitch. So as I was saying, we have three of our panelists here: Dr. Setalonyo, Dr. Brown, Selassie, and then Professor Frimpong Chum. We would want to hear from you. Oh, sorry, Dr. Engineer Seth Alonyo. Please forgive me for taking out some of the titles. Just so you know, we have panelists who are coordinating this presentation, whose feedback will serve for any of our panelists to make a submission. Someone's hand is up, and I guess he wants to ask a question. Clifford, all the way from Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have Achere. So we will take, we'll start off with Clifford. Kindly go ahead with your question. If you can turn your cameras, your camera too, we would love it, because we have YouTube audience as well, not just those in-house. We would appreciate it if you can. Else, please go ahead and ask your question. We'll start off with Clifford.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm getting a lot of feedback. So please, if you can sort it out for me. Thank you. It seems it's better now. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I forgot the name of the presenter, but thank you for the work. I just have a little concern about the data. And the data regarding the title about the early detection. I want some confirmation before I ask something. Because the early detection is the data you are dealing with beliefs, right? The disease you are dealing with beliefs. Is it obvious that a farmer can see the disease? Like if the beliefs that you are talking about, obvious disease that a farmer can see. If you can answer that one will help me to maybe proceed with my question or my comment, if that is necessary.
Yes, it is very obvious that the farmer can be able to see these diseases. Let me share my right. Okay. So
Yeah, I can see the sample. That's the comment I want to make. This is a comment that I want to make because early detection is for diseases that farmers cannot see with their visual eye. So if a disease can be identified with that, then it's supposed not be early detection.